When was the day that the Hope left Philadelphia? It was November 25th, 2019. 3 days before Thanksgiving. The Giving of Thanks Day. Day of Giving Thanks. Day of Thank... Yeah, that really doesn't work. Like, trying to fuck that up doesn't really help. Giving Day Thanks? There you go. Fucked it up. I did my job. So, let's just run in short of this. So, in less than a year, Marcus, they sold out Madison Square Garden. They had the Elite, arguably the biggest draws in pro wrestling that didn't have a name brand company attached to them. They had a partnership with New Japan, a slew of new young prospects, and a ability to work with anyone in the world at any time. In about 7 to 8 months, they fucked all that up. The New Japan partnership is all but dead. They're running their biggest show of the year with Rush, who's their champion, against fucking 53-year-old Frankenstein wannabe PCO. That's the main event. A Hispanic wrestler who can't speak English and a 54-year-old who's about to be 55 by the time I finish the sentence. So you have a wrestler from Mexico. What's that?
Who also apparently has a death wish.
Yes, a big death wish. So you have a Mexican wrestler and a 56-year-old wrestler in your main event of your biggest show. That's who you're relying on. 4'8" Rush and 57-year-old PCO. I don't know what the hell they're doing. And apparently the GM of the company, the head of the companies, their parent company, they don't have a fucking clue either. But it is made worse a few weeks ago when Kelly Klein said that she had a concussion. She was out for an extended period of time, and that she wasn't expected back anytime soon. And she went to document saying that Ring of Honor does not have a concussion protocol, which is kind of it's a standard thing. You say I got a concussion. You do the pencil thing where you make them follow the light. You get an ENP to check their blood pressure, and then you say, don't fall asleep for a day and go get a CAT scan. So, pretty fucking simple, right? Ring of Honor they don't even do that. So Kelly Klein put him on blast. Politely and respectfully. Kelly Klein's, she's not her husband. BJ Whitmer is the kind of guy who would championing the near paralyzing, the near crippling of a 15-year-old child for funsies. So she's not her husband. She tried to handle it respectfully, tried to deal with it in a way that brought attention to it, but in a way that made people realize she was trying to do it for all the right reasons. Then we find out last week that she was fired. But Ring of Honor's like, no, we didn't fire her. And Kelly Klein's like, yeah, they didn't fire me. They just told me that I'm not going to be working another date for them and that they're not going to renew the deal that we had with them. And, oh, by the by, I'm currently still the Women of Honor champion, so... yeah, they fired me. So, of course, this caused BJ Whitmer to have some issues with that. And that, in turn, had Joey Mercury, a former Ring of Honor employee, to have issues with them as well. Now, Joey Mercury's been dragging Ring of Honor through the muck for the better part of the last 3 or 4, maybe 2 or 3 months. Maybe it was not even that long. Revealing specific information and basically just putting the entire company on blast with receipts. God love Joey Mercury. Today it may have hit its boiling point. Because Joey Mercury revealed that Ring of Honor General Manager Greg Gilliland, Greg, we're going to call him Greg. I'm not going to fucking try to pronounce that name. Greg, the GM of Ring of Honor, apparently had a burner Twitter account that he was using to harass and tweet at wrestlers who work for Ring of Honor and fans who criticize Ring of Honor. Oh, Kevin Durant, take a lesson from this cat. But it goes further than that. Apparently, members of Ring of Honor's crew tried to post to a fake Joey Mercury Twitter account showing that Joey Mercury was using racial slurs in text messages. Joey Mercury says, "Hold the fuck up. I never said that. Here's what I actually said, you two-time rat-faced bitches." He then goes on to expose Greg Gillian's duality of Twitter. And then it gets even worse. So this is from WrestleZone. This is the bulk of today that you should take with you. I'm going to read it verbatim. This is, I bet you, it's from John Clark. So here's what he had to say. Firstly, Mercury was pushing for Marty Scurll to win the World Championship at the G1 Supercard event at Madison Square Garden back in April. Something we all agreed should have happened. The text showed that Gillian and management believed Matt Taven should win because he was the safer option. You and I had this conversation when it went down that they probably went with Taven because they knew he was sticking around, unlike Scurll, who was probably heading to AEW. That was the sentiment that the Ring of Honor management had as well. Back to the article. There was questions as to the contract situation of Marty Scurll and if he would leave the company. Next, Gillian admitted that he made a pair of mistakes. The first was trying to get Matt Taven over, and the second was bringing Enzo and Cass into the mix. Enzo and Cass have gone on record, specifically Enzo, saying that Ring of Honor ghosted them. That they didn't even call Enzo and Cass to inform them that they were not going to be moving forward with them. They just stopped answering their phone calls. Ring of Honor, what are you doing? Impact's about to have a show set in the 1980s that they're going to play off as canonical, and you still aren't, and they still aren't the dumbest thing going on this week. That show is going to be hilariously terrible, and I cannot wait for it. I am all for whatever that nonsense is going to be. Let's do it. So we then go on to Joey Mercury showed Gillian a message that was really sent from Flip Gordon to Joey Mercury. The text showed a screenshot of the Ticketmaster's website with nearly all the tickets still for sale. Flip questioned as to why Ring of Honor was hosting shows in large arenas when tickets were so poor. Gillian answered the text back by saying that Flip Gordon was not a draw. Well, we know Flip's not a draw. I don't think anyone's going to sit here and tell you that. I showed up for Flip Gordon. That's like saying you showed up to a Taylor Swift show for the opening act. Did ya? I don't think so. Marcus, we've seen some shit shows in our time. Billy Corgan in TNA. Dixie Carter in TNA. Hulk Hogan in TNA. Kurt Angle and Jeff Jarrett having a romance situation with Karen Jarrett Angle. A lot of things happened with TNA. Let's just be honest about that one. We're fans, but they've done some shit. But Marcus, have you ever seen a situation go so terribly wrong like this of Ring of Honor in just 8 months? Like, it took TNA 5 years to kill all of its goodwill. Ring of Honor did it in 6.5 months.
Yeah, and
in a boom period. In a boom period.
Yeah, most of the L's that we saw happen on Impact, we can literally see on screen, let alone get to the stuff behind the scenes. So Ring of Honor, you know, the back's falling out of it behind the scenes, and now it's just going to translate to everything on screen. So, you know, but again, when you leave holes like that to be, you know, be shine, you know, for light to be shined on like that, I'm guessing they thought that they wasn't going to have anybody like Klein or Mercury or anybody else to step up because they thought they would be complacent and, you know, just feel like they were lucky to be in a position to even have a job to work there. But, you know, people are getting seriously injured and, you know, not even having the common decency of having an available medical person on site to at least give them a half-ass professional diagnosis. Then I don't know what they expect. So, you know, I think he just set himself up for these L's they take.
So, I think about what's going on. And I think about all the times that we've turned a blind eye to Ring of Honor. This isn't new, folks. There's a reason why, despite being owned by a company that makes more money in a year than the WWE does in Sinclair Broadcasting, that Ring of Honor still has the worst presentation, an inability to retain talent, and just the most unbelievably set of terrible circumstances to befall it in the course of many, many years. I remember when Impact ran the Manhattan Center. They basically overrode a booking that they had. They talked to the promoter that was hosting this event, and they were able to reschedule it because Impact was willing to pay more money. By doing so, they forced Ring of Honor out of the building because they could no longer afford to keep paying the rate that they were at. And all the fans in the world were like, I can't believe Impact did that to Ring of Honor. I'm just kind of sitting here thinking, it had nothing to do with Ring of Honor. Y'all are just getting super butthurt. But now we have the situation where we're seeing more and more of what we've already been told for years. You know, I go back to that time when at Final Battle, after 4 years of building up Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole, they finally pulled the trigger to do the feud. And Kyle O'Reilly beat Adam Cole, and it was this big moment. And then they went into the Tokyo Dome a week and a half later, and it's a rematch of Wrestle Kingdom. And then Adam Cole beats Kyle O'Reilly. And then 5 days later, Kyle O'Reilly's out of Ring of Honor. It's like, do you guys know what you're doing anymore? Because I have some doubts. I do. And if you follow Joey Mercury, which is at Joey in Retrograde on Twitter, that's RETROGA. No, I'm sorry, I spelled that wrong. RETO. I cannot spell. I am so tired. I'm so sorry. RETROGRADE. There it is, Retrograde. It's Joey in Retrograde on Twitter. He's having a conversation with a dude trying to disparage Joey Mercury. And it kind of gives you an idea on what's going on right now. Ring of Honor is actively campaigning to destroy Joey Mercury's credibility because they know Joey Mercury is exposing them for a lot of the more tumultuous and harsh accusations that he's been levying against the company. And we're at this point where, with the Kelly Klein stuff, with how they're handling Joey Mercury, with the fact that they keep losing talent. Shane Taylor. We all thought that Shane Taylor, where he announced that he was leaving Ring of Honor, we thought that was a work. I doubt it was. I'll try to reach out to him. I haven't talked to the guy in a decade. Last time I talked to him, he was probably putting me on my ass. But you got to think that a lot of these situations now aren't just gimmicks or ideas. Like, there's a reason probably why we haven't seen Alex Shelley on television in months.
Look, these are just the people that we're hearing from. Imagine the people that would not, and they're just, like you said, taking their leave.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a lot of people that just don't really have time to get caught up in the social media of it all, or be dropping hints to people who then drop it on social media. They just see a lot of people see it writing on the wall, and they kind of jump ship. We saw that happen a lot in Impact. You know, hell, I never thought AJ or Jeremy Borash would leave, but look, I think Borash just wanted to traverse some new waters, and AJ was like, man, this damn thing is maybe sinking worse than the Titanic. So, at the time, of course.
You're not wrong. This was a company that had so much goodwill. The idea of them possibly going out of business was just, it wasn't a possibility. Like, people flocked to Ring of Honor. They saw it in this grandiose, almost, holier than thou light, like Ring of Honor, the place for super indies. But that hasn't been the case in 15 years. Ever since Rob Feinstein sold out, I shouldn't say sold out, sold his parts of the company to Todd Sinclair and eventually Joe Koff, like, this has been a completely different company. When they brought in, who was it? Gabe Sapolsky to start booking in 2004. They already had the base of their foundation built from other guys. Like Samoa Joe You know, and here's the thing: Ring of Honor is often viewed in the same light as ECW, and to which I mean slanted and inaccurate. Ring of Honor did not bring AJ Styles or Bryan Danielson or Samoa Joe or even CM Punk to the forefront. Those guys were already being talked about before they landed in Ring of Honor. The idea that, you know, yes, they found their niche in Ring of Honor, and they had some of their best moments in Ring of Honor, but they were on their way regardless. Bryan Danielson was already in the WWE system. Samoa Joe was already on the radar of both WCW and WWE at the time of WCW's closure. AJ Styles was already in WCW. CM Punk was rising up through IWS. I think that's what it's called. The Ian Rotten promotion. So there was already a lot of buzz around these guys. The Ring of Honor just signed them, just brought them in, just used them for 20 times a year. And now we're looking at what's happening with Ring of Honor today, and it's like, what exactly is Ring of Honor's purpose in wrestling anymore? What are they trying to do? They're not the worker division, you know. They're not the superstar division. They're not the battle arts division. Like, what are they trying to be? Impact has found this crazy niche of just out there wrestling. WWE still is putting on their WWE-isms. New Japan has their strong style. MLW has their shoot fight style. You know, Shikara is just nonsense, and I love it. AEW is trying to be something all of its own with bad booking along the way. How are you fucking up Kenny Omega? Like, how are you fucking that up? How are you fucking that up? I digress. That's a different conversation for a different day. But you have all these promotions finding their way, and yet Ring of Honor is just, what are they doing? They're signing a bunch of luchadors that they're not using correctly. They have a bunch of Japanese imports that they could be using, but they're not. They pissed off Juice Robinson to the point that he'll never work for them again. How do you piss off Juice Robinson, who's pretty much in the mindset of everything that's not the WWE is a step up, and you somehow pissed him off, but you're going to sit here and try to tell us that Joey Mercury's the issue and not you? This whole company has been just besieged. And we haven't even talked about the Bully Ray of it all. Marcus, Bully Ray assaulted a fan this year. Sorry, nearly assaulted. Ring of Honor's fucked.
No, Chad, it was a teachable moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The most teachable of moments. The most teachable of moments. I regret my poor choice of words. Sorry, Bully. Another guy who can't take a head slap. I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me. I don't know how to fix Ring of Honor. And there's a rumor right after the Access TV deal went down that Impact was looking at buying out Ring of Honor. And honestly, I say do it. At this point, what good is Ring of Honor? I don't want people to lose their jobs, but it's going that way anyway. And you might as well help bolster a promotion who has the time slots available to do something with that asset. And it's the saddest thing is they're never going to be seen as anything more than just a rundown indie anymore because of the quality of their production, because of their just desire to not improve. They're stuck in this weird niche where Sinclair needs them on their channels, but they still run them like it's 2006. Like, it feels very dated. and let's be honest, that toxic Ring of Honor symbol that they replaced the old school block logo with, it was dated and tired when they brought it in, and it's even worse now. Now
it's just cringeworthingly ironic.
Right? Like, you see that symbol and you're like, don't touch, stay away. Bad.
Exactly.
No. I don't know if Impact could revive the entity as a second show. Don't know if I'd want it to, but there are talent on that roster that I would love to see in Impact. John Grisham being one of them, who's as close to Daniel Bryan in his prime as you can get in today's day and age. Not in terms of talent necessarily, but just in terms of style. Jay Lethal being back in Impact would be great, and maybe an Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin reunion when Sabin's done rehabbing for the 48th time. Him and Kevin Nash they're both about ready to get their Quiznos sandwich card punched for a free knee surgery because of how many they've had in their lives. But like there's some talent on that roster that should be featured on a bigger stage, and it seems funny. 3 years ago, Impact bigger stage than the Ring of Honor. That's funny, but it's no longer funny. Impact's been doing the work. They've been getting their fan base back. It's going to take another 3 to 5 years for them to get close to where they were, in 2014 when they were averaging 1 million people on television. It's going to take some more time. They're not nearly there yet, but they are on an upward trajectory, which is something Ring of Honor cannot say.
And Callis and the more new was gonna be an uphill climb. And I think both of them had some doubts when they initially came in because I think in the early goings it was looking like it's one of those situations where we got to ask is the juice that we're trying to get out of this going to be worth the squeeze? And I think, like you said, they just continue to put one foot in front of the other and march forward, and the momentum has just been gained to the point where, of course, it was just cool at one point to just hop on and crap on Impact because it was the thing to do, and for the most part, they had earned that at a time for a while. But now it's like Tessa Blanchard is kind of the undeniable. Like you can't really crap on me. Obviously, you can get on them for certain roster additions and stuff of that nature, and maybe you feel a way about who's champion, who's not. But other than that, we're not getting bosses CCing people in the CCing the wrong people in the email or putting out false facts about being in the red or not being in the red financially or just whatever. And now a Ring of Honor, yeah.
I was gonna say you're also not getting TV shows making to air with racially insensitive jokes that you're just ignoring.
That we don't have to worry about having whole storylines and months worth of storylines yanked from TV because something happened where a person wasn't supposed to be on the show or whatever the crap happened, and now we're getting a tournament as a main storyline that basically amounted to a one night only pay-per-view over a span of months. So we've come a long way now with Ring of Honor, and it's crazy, and it was really sad reading that article about Klein because she very much wanted to stay. It's crazy that even amidst all that, she still wanted to be a champion for that brand.
Mm-hmm.
The way that she got did and the way that they did her, it's really pathetic. But I think going down the list of names you did, it's a lot of people there that love that brand, that love what that company was, might necessarily like some parts of the way it is right now, but they have faith, I guess, that it can get better, so they're staying. For some people, it may be a comfort zone. They don't feel like they could get the level of spot that they have in Ring of Honor elsewhere. And then you have the people that just love the brand and want it to be better and want to be a part of the better, but they're not being allowed to because of crap like the lack of care in general when it comes to the people in charge. So they're making it, not just hard, but impossible to even root for the brand anymore. And that sucks, but it's the place that they're in. I mean, it's funny because we talk about all these promotions coming up. AEW started, WWE making moves, Impact getting back on the climb. They were slowly but surely between MLW and other stuff, NWA coming back. They've been getting knocked down the rung for a while now, just in terms of one of the promotions to watch. But now that it's like, this not only is this not a promotion that's really interesting to watch, it's not even a safe place for people you watch to work.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do with that. Like, so, because if nothing else, we wasn't really hearing. I mean, we've it's been stories about Impact before, but we've not heard that people, didn't get attention. I remember when I think it was Saban when he was still with Velvet Sky when he got concussed, and I remember them showing a video, the doctor telling Velvet like, don't let him go to sleep tonight. Stay with him and stuff like that. If they don't even have, like I said, even a half-ass doctor to come and tell them that you need to go to an actual medical place, a medical facility, using WWE verbiage, and get yourself checked out, what is the point of people even coming to work? They're putting themselves in many car accidents every night, sometimes very much unnecessarily for a dwindling audience, a monotonous product, and God knows probably being underpaid looking at that article.
So
So I'm looking for a win, you know.
there's actually a great story that parlays with what you're talking about. It's from about a decade ago. Is when Jim Cornette was working there. Now, I'm probably going to get the name wrong. I want to say it's Roderick Strong. He got concussed, and they didn't have any doctors or medical personnel at the show. This is a decade ago. But same management. They haven't had any changes in management in a decade. And Jim Cornette decided to go with whoever it was. I think it was Roddy. It could have been somebody else. Went with them to the hospital when it was somebody else's responsibility to do so, but because they weren't there at the show, because they left early, it fell on Cornette to do it. So this is not a new thing. This idea that Ring of Honor's not been very attentive to their talents is not new. And it's been a long-standing issue. And again, the issue has been for a long time the people running it. Gillian, Delirious, Bully Ray. Bully Ray's a new addition to the crew, but a lot of these guys have been running the promotion themselves for, years at this point. With Impact, a lot of the big issues came from the fact that they never had any true leadership. Dixie Carter is not a bad person. She just wasn't the right fit to lead Impact. I don't think she'd deny that at this point. But Dixie did her best. She tried to do her best. She kept it afloat, and she got it passed off to somebody who was willing to put the money into it. And now Impact is, again, a viable brand. But the biggest issues with Dixie was that she just kept being unable to plug all the holes. And now, when we look at Ring of Honor, they're not just poorly managed, but they're nearly felonious in the way they're handling their talent. And now, think about with Impact this year. Their biggest scandal this year was the Killer Cross stuff, which is dead. No one is talking about it anymore. It's gone. And part of the reason why it's gone is because the truth of the matter came out. Killer Cross, they didn't have any medical personnel there. And then Impact said, yeah, we did. We had nurse practitioners and EMTs on standby. Oh, well, no, he wanted a doctor. You got EMTs and nurse practitioners. What's a doctor going to do in that moment that they can't? Nothing. They don't have any equipment. They don't have any X-rays. You're not going to be in a surgery. What are you bitching about, Cross? And of course, he came up with that whole excuse there's that bloodborne outbreak in Indiana. That's why he was concerned about his match in Texas, which had nothing to do with anything. Killer Cross was fear mongering with Impact, alluding to a situation in Indiana where there was a hepatitis outbreak among addicts, drug users, people who were using needles. And because it was such a rich area of addicts in Indiana that were using, there was a wrestling show that happened around at the same time. So they're like, hey, listen, we have so many people abusing needles and bleeding all over the place because of this. If you were at this wrestling show, just, safety precaution. Killer Cross like, see, blading's bad. And everyone's like, that the two don't have anything to do with one another. You're talking about a indie scene that did not have any correlation with a drug scene. And you're trying to use that as a reason for why Impact is mistreated you. It didn't make any sense. And then everyone's pointing, and here's the even bigger issue with the Killer Cross stuff. His own crew members, his own teammates, his own roster mates, the people he works with, that's supposed to have his back, raw dogged him. Ethan Page is like, dude, you signed the contract. Oh, well, it's expensive to have a lawyer check a contract. Then people started tweeting out links to lawyers who would check out a contract for $50 down flat rate. And all of a sudden, Killer Cross looked like a giant fucking idiot. And he's bitching about how he can't afford to move his girlfriend out of his house or out of his parents' house, but he's taking trips to Thailand. It's like Killer Cross shot himself in the foot. He made himself an albatross. But Impact allowed that story to just resonate and develop because they knew the truth would come out. You look at Ring of Honor, and a lot of their issues are mandated by the company almost. Every big mistake seems to happen because of management. Not because a talent gets uppity, not because someone decides they want more or wants to do less. They get outed. So you look at Ring of Honor, and there's really no way to come back from this. I don't know how you do. The space that they were in about a decade ago, before they got sold off to Sinclair, has been co-opted and taken over by MLW. If you want to watch Ring of Honor circa 2008, just watch modern-day Major League Wrestling. That's the same style. So there's really no place for Ring of Honor anymore other than to just be hoarded out and taken apart and sold for scraps. You have maybe 10 or 12 people on that roster who are worth a damn. I don't know how you fucked up Brody King so badly, but they did. PCO is just completely... he was the talk of the wrestling world a year ago, and now no one wants him. You got fucking Marty Scurll wasting away in the trios division. Like, what are you even doing? This is a company that shot itself in the foot and then decided to shoot itself in the knee, the stomach, and the face just for funsies.
we like our stuff to match.
Well, at least they took that head, shoulders, knees and toes song to heart, because that's exactly what they did. It's sad, man. I feel like whenever Ring of Honor is about to do something great, I go back to that line from Punisher, where he's like, where John Travolta's talking about Frank Castle, and he goes, "No, he wants to die. He wants to die and be reunited with his family. So let's reunite him with his family already." That's Ring of Honor. They don't want to live. They want to die. So someone buy them out so they can finally die. This is a promotion whose world title had its apex not 18 months ago and will never see it again because of their own mismanagement.
Yeah, then going back to the Punisher reference for a second, like it's that scene where the sun almost when Castle blew the boat up.
Yep.
And then he was just standing on top of the hill, and then the sun saw him, and then they played the little music, dun 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 dun. He just walked off. In this scenario, that's MLW.
Basically. And Ring of Honor just nearly avoids the explosion, and MLW's just kind of staring at him because they just stole all their shit.